Perfect.
Okay, we are good to go.
So hello, everybody. Here we are at our happy Sunday slot at 7 o'clock. We are Global Strangeness, myself, Deborah, Scott, and Jeremy. And we come to you every Sunday to talk about paranormal, folklore, the spooky. And this week, we decided to talk about remote viewing and astral projection. And sort of not such a spooky woo-woo application, but really more of a practical application, how police actually will use psychics and people that have these abilities to solve cases and solve crimes and actual jobs that you can do with these things. Are you good?
I'm just posting stuff.
Okay, cool.
Posting the link.
Okay, so I guess first of all, like not everybody's heard about remote viewing. So basically, it's clairvoyance or clear sight. Remote viewing is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject. So basically, you're just in your space and you get yourself into a meditative kind of zone and or just tap into the realms, and you can see things, you can get information. Sometimes it actually includes scents and smells and other sensory things that come along with it. So, and you put it all together and you get a very clear picture of what's going on. Astral projection is the esoteric term to describe an intentional out-of-body experience using your subtle or astral body, through which consciousness can function separately from the physical body and travel through the astral plane. So basically, it's like your soul or your energetic body is leaving your physical body. It actually detaches, and it's believed to be held together by a cord, a silver cord. And so it's a little bit different, two different things. So I don't know, Scott, do you want to get into the remote viewing? Because you kind of did the most famous remote viewing application of work is with the government, with all the spying.
I mean, I don't have a ton about it, but I mean, there are plenty of projects or podcasts about it. It was Project Stargate. It went from 1978 to 1995, and it sort of had a bunch of government agencies involved. Like the Defense Investigation Agency was sort of what started it. The CIA was involved. The Army attained it for a little while, and they dumped, I think it was $6 million a year every year for 20 years into this thing. And eventually in 1995, they said that there wasn't enough. Like from what I heard, just remembering, I listened to a lot about this, they had like a 65% success rate.
Mm-hmm.
So the Defense Intelligence Agency or whatever said, I mean, this does give us a little bit, but 65% isn't a good, if you're trying to kill Saddam Hussein or something like that, 65% success rate isn't the best. But then they declassified the documents, and
you haven't seen Arrested Development? Saddam Hussein ain't dead.
Well, I didn't say anything about conspiracy theories. I was putting a thing up there. There was actually in 2004, the movie Men Who Stare at Goats. We own it. My wife likes it. I've never seen it. I guess that was kind of based off of it.
Yes.
You would love it. You would love it. It's right up your alley, Scott.
Yeah.
Once I saw this, I kind of wanted to check it out. But the CIA.
It's George Clooney as best.
Isn't Brad Pitt in it as well?
Yes.
It's George Clooney and Brad Pitt. I remember seeing the trailer, and it was just one of those nights where it was like, well, this one looks better. I'll watch this one. But I guess the CIA published all of the records for the Stargate project as a part of the Crest archives in 2017. But like every other CIA government agency, heavily redacted, a lot of black bars. And I mean, they said it had a 65% success rate. But that was one of the things, right? Is one person found like they would give you latitude and longitude, and one person was able to find this crane, and the crane was spot on. No way that like they would know that that crane was there, but the rest of the background information they gave was false. So I mean, I don't know. Do you guys think that it's something you could get 100% if you did practice a lot?
I don't know 100%, but I think you can get the numbers really up there. And I think from what I understand, because I mentioned to these guys earlier, but I took a course on this, and it was taught by a lady named Lori Williams and the guy Lynn Buchanan. And Lynn Buchanan actually worked at Fort Meade, so he's one of these guys that was working there, which is really cool when it was all hush hush and whatever. And so they teach these courses, and so according to them, some people are more accurate, with colors or smells, or some with, certain things. So if you get a group together and everybody's playing to their strengths, you can get some really good information. And I think too, I mean, they dumped money into it for 20 years.
Mhm.
So, I think it's probably was a lot more effective than what they say. And do you think they actually quit? That's the thing. Do you think they really did quit?
Yeah.
Or did they just say they quit and,
I think they changed project names, to be honest with you. I
that,
mean,
right? Yeah.
even if they didn't think it worked, our government spends so much fucking money in the defense budget. And the 3 top scientists were making $500,000 a year off of
Well,
this.
and you
So,
got to think like every other government also does this. So nobody
Mhm.
wants to be left behind if it is a thing, right? Like nobody wants to be. So I feel like they probably still do a whole bunch of this type of work, and just, obviously it's still not telling us.
Well-
They tell us what they want us to know.
that was the one interesting thing I did see, that like the whole start of the project, it wasn't originally called the Stargate project, but
It was called the Montauk Project.
yeah, it could have
Yeah.
been, I don't know. It
It took
we
place in Long Island, yeah.
we started it because we thought that the Soviets were doing it, and it turns out that they weren't doing it. And then when they found out we were doing it, they started doing it. So it's like, I don't know. But 65% is pretty high. I mean, that's
I mean, if you lost your car keys, I mean, that's better than nothing, right?
well, that opens up a lot of possibilities for paranormal, period, right? Like if these people are 65% right, that's, and I mean, they were going off a latitude, longitude type of crap. So it's not like, multiple choice questions, true or false. This was like, they showed a bunch of them Nat Geo pictures, and then they would decipher out of 100 Nat Geo pictures what location for some
And
of
it's
these
very
tests.
structured how you have to do it. Like it's very structured how the steps you take, and then the notes you have to give. And even so, they do work with the police a lot too, and it's the same thing. Like it's like a job, like it's very, very structured. Like you can't just, you're not just, it's not like I don't want to say a circus actor, but like just a psychic kind of doing a shtick at a fair.
Mhm.
It's pretty legit, and there's lots of police forces that will actually work with psychics because it's so accurate and it's so helpful to them. So I mean,
I did try to think like, if this was real, wouldn't people be making lots of money off of it? And then I started to think about it, and it's like, I mean, you couldn't really do a Vegas scenario to make money off of this. So you would have to do some sort of spying or espionage stuff. And how do you advertise for that, right? Like by the time you had a reputation where you were good at it, there's a pretty damn good chance the government's going to pick you up and,
yeah, I think they
end of
cherry
the
pick.
line.
They cherry pick who they like.
Mhm.
It's somebody who's built up a name as a psychic or whatever, and then they invite you in or whatever. And with the police, I mean, even when you're taking this course, there was a FYI, there was a New York detective in the class that was interesting. So they're training themselves even, but you can't just like phone them up and be like, I have the information about, where this, like, they think you're a crackpot. They'll reach out to psychics if they even are willing to work with that. And so you kind of have to have a real good reputation, or coming as a student from somebody who's like really well established, I think. Because otherwise they just write you off as a crackpot and you'll never establish yourself. Like, you're just phoning in and saying you have information. And it's really, you should never like phone directly, grieving families or, stuff like that either. That's really irresponsible. So anyways, but I just thought I was very interested how structured it was and how it's like a legitimate job. Like, if you can get good enough at it, you can apply and then like work. It's crazy to me.
And that might be a different thing too, right? Like the difference between remote viewing and astral projection. When you're astral projecting, can you go into like the spirit realm?
So this is what I found was interesting, because I had no idea what the difference was either. And from what I understand, so again, like when I gave that's why I gave the two different definitions, because astral projecting, it's like your spiritual body like is leaving your physical body. So like and so you can't use that when you're like spying on other, like,
The Russians.
Military stuff, because dogs can see you, and it will set off like cameras and stuff like that. Like, you can be caught, like you can be detected. And I was like, that's interesting, because it's literally a spiritual kind of energetic body moving around. Because remote viewing, it's just a vision, right? You're not actually there. And I was like, that's interesting.
So do you think some of these ghosts that people catch on camera might just be people astral projecting?
Astral projecting, yeah, 100%.
Funny.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, because I know like Native American culture believes heavily into the astral projecting side of it.
Yeah.
And they believe that like your spirit animal come and guide you, and all the ancient spirits are there, and like it's pretty interesting. But then you run into other crackpots on YouTube that are like,
but you'll see like people that can astral project, they will meet, like they will plan, wide awake plan, if meet a friend who also can do it, and they meet and they will have the exact same experience when they come back, when they wake up. And so I don't know, it's interesting to me.
Well, that was one of the biggest things that like is kind of in its favor, is all the ancient cultures across oceans have these same sort of similar carvings. So it's like, how else were they kind of, seeing these visions? Somebody in a desert, in a rainforest, in a jungle, like in a snow covered, well, I don't know how many pyramids there are in snow covered areas, but
yeah. So, and then of course, so my biggest thing, I was like, well, can you get into the Vatican? And this is another thing I found interesting, is because it's guarded by other projectors or whoever. Like, they have people who are able to do this to chase off other people, apparently.
Did you find that?
I just in conversations with people that claim that they do it all the time and have a lot of experience, and that's like, you can't, because I'm like, oh, that's so cool, I'm gonna learn how to do this, and I'm gonna find out all kinds of stuff.
That's a good idea.
There's also people in the Vatican that can do this or whatever, and they have, apparently, guards that will, they're fairly strong and they know how to maneuver in that kind of a situation and shoot people away.
Reptilians, yeah.
Yeah, but if we got like 1,000 of us together, like started a real
if
strong
everyone
group,
could learn, I know,
and then we could just jump them and
Storm.
rush the Vatican. And then what are they
Right?
gonna do? They can't do anything past that point. They're gonna arrest us because our spirits went into the Vatican. We could take over. This is a good
Right?
plan. I like that.
This
I
is
like
the whole
that.
thing, like there'd be no secrets with any governments if everyone actually, and I actually really truly believe all people are able to be psychic. And I think, back long time ago, everybody was, and then the churches and the governments made it frowned upon, and everybody's scared to try it, because you can't control people if they can do this, right? You can't lie to them. You can't feed them what you want them to know, because they can see everything for themselves. And I'm like, everybody nowadays needs to learn to get back in touch with how to deal with these things, I think. Plus, it's fun.
How much of the Library of Alexandria do you think the Catholic Church actually has? This is like one of my big conspiracies. I don't think that
Mo-
whole thing burned up. I think they have a good portion of what they wanted before it burned up.
Oh, they evolve it. They
Yeah,
evolve it.
right? They
You kidding me?
wrote the history. Like it could have burned up, but it never actually did. It was just a transfer of knowledge.
It's scrolls. They didn't burn it up. It's fucking scrolls. They put it's all in one section of the Vatican Library. I guarantee it.
And they were all
Yeah,
brick
wouldn't that be
buildings.
so cool to get? Think of where you could get into to see stuff. Like, man,
They have
that's awesome.
15 miles of shelving of all of our ancient text. Like I wouldn't be able to do shit with it, but if you could get some linguists and that'd be
Yeah,
awesome. I still think America should take over the Vatican. Like we're worried about Russia. We should be at war with the Vatican.
Never will happen. There's
So,
too many
well-
Catholic. There's too many Catholic priests in America paying for elections.
yeah,
Yeah, but we're
that's-
gonna, the Vatican will be American now. It's perfect.
Never will happen.
I know, but the trouble is, it doesn't even matter who has it. It's like the average people don't get to see anything. It doesn't even matter who's controlling stuff, right?
Yeah, it would still be filtered information.
It'd
and
still
what
be
would they-
filtered. I mean,
Yeah.
so I really think people need to learn how to do these types of things and see for themselves, and
Or-
not,
if one of us became dictator of America, we have the world's largest army. Just
well, maybe
Slip
that's a
in.
job for you.
slip in.
So I did find some research about where the police have used psychics, and it was the psychics that actually basically solved the case. So I have a couple of those if you want to hear. So in 1987, there was a 42-year-old nurse, and she was a mother of 5, Elizabeth Cornish, and she was beaten to death in her apartment. And the police believed it was her boyfriend, and they just pinned it on him. And her sister didn't jive. She didn't think that was right. And so she brought in a psychic. She hired a psychic called Nancy Weber, and her name comes up in a lot of these cases. But anyways, she hired this Nancy lady, and she came to the crime scene and with the police, and she told them that the boyfriend didn't commit murder at all, and that the killer lived right in the building upstairs above. And she described right there in the apartment, she gave a description. And when they went upstairs, the guy who lived right above matched perfectly. And he did have an alibi when they were first taking statements and stuff of the whole
Mhm.
building. But after the coroner kind of re-examined the body and changed the DOT, and he confessed he was the killer, because the psychic wouldn't let it go. She was like, no, he's the killer. He really is. And so they did reinvestigate, and it was him. He ended up confessing.
That's a good
And then-
sister-in-law.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's 3 abducted children, and the detective on that, Sergeant Lou Masterbone, he was really skeptical. Shut up.
Masterbone.
Yeah, whatever. I didn't make it up. Anyways, he was very skeptical. He didn't want a psychic along, but again, the family was like, no, the mother of these kids was like, no, we're hiring her. And she led them across like 3 states. And so that sergeant actually went on Nancy Grace in 2005, and he's like, I was totally disbeliever. And then she led us on a 3-state chase, which ended up finding the kids in Hawaii. So the mom got them back, and all because she insisted on having the psychic come in and show the police.
Shit,
then
dude, you find
there
your
was another
kids, you're a
case, and there's like,
believer.
yeah, and there's so many of these cases if you start digging into it. And then another one I thought was interesting was Dora and Jake Kahn. So they were an elderly couple. They were both 72 actually. And on May 15th in 1986, they were shot and killed in their upstate New York home. And their grandson was a bit of a shyster, I guess, and he became the prime suspect. And he had a couple of friends, Keith Scher and Robert Skinner. And they kind of figured those 3 did it, but they all had alibis. And so the police were, basically dropped it. They let it go for a bit. And so again, the Khan family hired a psychic called Noreen Revi, I think. Can't read my own writing. And anyways, they brought her into the police And the police put like a suspect lineup of photos. And there was those 3 guys in there, plus a whole bunch of this non-whoever. And she shut her eyes with her eyes closed, felt over them, picked all 3 out, and described exactly, what happened and everything. And they reopened the case and went after them and found out that the alibis really were pretty shitty and didn't hold up. And they ended up all confessing and they were convicted. So she picked them out of a lineup with her eyes closed.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
I was like, that's really good. And I mean, yeah, there's just lots and lots. And as far as astral projecting, I couldn't find anything that was really like really evidential. That's a lot harder one. So I was telling you, it's really weird because scientifically they say they can prove, there's lots of proof about OBs. So like when like a near death experience, the spirit will leave the body, and apparently they can prove that, but they can't or haven't proven so much as willfully leaving the body, which is what astral projection is you choosing to do it consciously.
Mm-hmm.
But in 2014, there was a case study out of the University of Ottawa's School of Psychology, and they had a woman who could astral project, and she was put on an fMRI machine. And so she was physically stationary. She's pinned down, held down, whatever, things all over her brain, all over her head. And she went in and out of astral projecting, and they would give her instructions while she was out to like move her arm, do this, do that, like move a bunch of, different instructions. And on the, like they were actually shoes hooked up, and they could see the brain activity corresponded with her like moving her arm, even though her physical arm wasn't moving. So as far as they could tell, she was out of body and she was moving in the ways that she was being instructed. However, her physical body was not at all, but her brain was responding to it.
Well, I know when I looked into like how to astral project, my sister talks about this, and she doesn't claim to do it all the time, but she claims she got there like once. And they say that you need to practice laying down, and then right at that point where you're half asleep and half awake, like you guys have all felt that point where it's, I don't know, it's a weird feeling, but like you can still sense everything, but you're kind of asleep. That's
and
when
your body is,
you have to learn to like get out of that. And it's kind of like I've tried it numerous times and then I didn't stop, but like you get that feeling of falling, like when you're sleeping. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, I don't know. Maybe it is just your brain playing
because
tricks
it's
on
right
you.
as your body's going into that paralysis, because your body goes into a state of paralysis while you sleep, so you don't flail around a whole bunch, right? Or normally it does. And so then that's when you're awake enough that you're asking your energetic body to move, and you get this like vibration like going through your body before it happens. And there's all kinds of instructions of like how to like sit up to do it or roll out of the body, and all kinds of courses and stuff to do. But
there's a lot of shysters out there too, fellas. I mean, I don't know. I saw this one kid, he was really young, and he was saying like, don't look in the mirror, don't go in the shadows, the demons are out to get you. No.
All those people and their demons and all the scary stuff. Good grief.
Well, that's like the Insidious series, right? That's basically astral projecting.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
But I think the movies, like even Behind Her Eyes, so that's all about that too, that new Netflix thing or whatever. They make it seem like it's bad or creepy or scary to do.
Which one? You cut out when you were saying the name of it.
It's called Behind Her Eyes, and it's on Netflix. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you guys do? Are you believers, non-believers? I mean, if police are paying people to do this, it's a thing. And I have personal experience, so I'm 1000% a believer. So what about you guys?
It's definitely true. It's definitely true. I mean, that's what they base Stranger Things on, is like the Montauk Project and Project Stargate and all the other government things that were trying to do this, and the Soviets doing it as well. I mean, that was the whole point of Stranger Things.
Well, I wonder how much the Chinese have done it, right? Like we hear about the Americans and the Soviets, goddamn well the Chinese were doing it.
The Chinese believe in
stories.
The Chinese never stop believing in all this stuff.
That's the thing.
Just allowed them. The religion has allowed them to do it
Yeah.
from the beginning of time.
But I wonder what their
That's the thing.
government
The
agency
Eastern
is.
religions, they just, yeah, like they never made it, a bad thing. Like our religions and our culture made it, a frowned upon, or don't do that. That's, scary or demonic or whatever.
I
But
was
they
gonna
did.
write it down. There are quite a few verses in the Judeo-Christian Bible that even the Old Testament that like frown upon any of this stuff.
Oh,
So
really?
I believe
That's
it.
interesting. Yeah.
They frown upon everything. Of course they frown upon this.
I'll look up. I'm not gonna read them all, but you guys talk. I'll look up the actual Bible scriptures so people can read them.
So Jeremy,
mean-
have you had personal experiences, or
Oh God, no, I don't even freaking dream. I have no control over that shit.
you don't dream? Oh my gosh, I have lucid dreams all the time. I love dreaming.
blame
So
it on the weed,
interesting.
but
Yeah, you gotta
Blame it on
stop
the weed.
smoking.
blame it on the weed, blame it on that, blame it on the alcohol, whatever you want to blame it on. But I mean, I just don't dream. I dream occasionally, but I haven't had like I haven't dreamed like crazy since I was like in high school. Like it's
The
just not the way it works
first-
anymore. And
First day you're clean and sober, that is going to be horrible. And it's always bad dreams too.
I don't plan on it happening. So yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, so we got like Corinthians 12, 1-4, Deuteronomy 18, 10 through 13, Ecclesiastes 12, 6, Ezekiel 37, 1 through 14. Like there are just tons of
aren't those all New Testament books?
shit, I Deuteronomy's not, right?
I
Let
think.
me look up what Deuteronomy.
It's been a while since church.
I
so
can't
remember.
even
But
spell Deuteronomy.
Right.
Well, whatever. They're all New Testament. doesn't
Actually, yeah,
matter. Jesus
isn't
doesn't want you
Deuteronomy-
to do it.
Isn't Deuteronomy after? I mean, yeah, I don't know. Isn't Deuteronomy after Exodus? But I'm not sure. It's
Yeah,
so
I think
long
it's close to Exodus.
and plus they took all the damn books out of the Bible. It's like 23 of them, so you can't even really go by it anymore.
Oh, the Apocryphal. Yeah, like the Book of Enoch and all sorts of shit. The Judith and all the good ones were in the Old Testament.
Yep,
But
they took all the stuff. They took all the stuff out of the Bible, so you can't believe any word it says anymore.
Oh, the censorship, isn't that fun, right?
oh yeah, they changed a lot of words
blame
like
the ki-
love and God and shit for like the authority and fucking it up. I'm
Blame
too
the
drunk
blame the
for
kings.
that.
Blame the kings of England. They're the ones who did it. King James.
It's
Goddamn
everybody
English
and anyone who wants to keep people dumb and compliant.
Mhm.
Honestly, that's governments, that's churches, that's kings, that's whatever. Any kind of structural things like that suits them.
Have any of you guys had night terror?
No, never.
Well, I've had nightmares, but so I can lucid dream. So I can switch my dream. Like in my dream, I know I'm dreaming, or I can say, no, I don't choose that, and I can go a different direction with the dream. I can guide my dreams.
Mhm.
So I've had scary things start to happen and then sort of not. But I've had scary dreams before, yeah.
I think I
Have you?
I think I already told you guys this story, but it was right when we moved back to Utah from Florida. No, it was when we got this job. I was falling asleep in this exact chair actually. And like I woke up in a dream and I was in my backyard in Florida on our fold-up chair, and like none of the shit that we had in the backyard was there. But I was trying to scream for my wife for like, I mean, it was like 20 minutes. Like in real time, it felt like 20 minutes. And I was just paralyzed and I couldn't move, I couldn't talk. And I was trying my hardest to like roll myself out of the chair, but I couldn't do it. But I never saw one of those demon things everybody
Yeah, like
talks about.
sleep paralysis. That's
Yeah,
terrible.
that's
People that have that. Ugh.
that's what I meant to say, sleep paralysis. But I never saw the demon, so it was just like I
Yeah.
was paralyzed for 20 minutes in my old backyard. It was kind of weird. It was a pretty
Huh.
big trip.
Yeah, I've never had sleep paralysis. My one son has had it, and it's when I read about it, I was like, oh my God, that's awful. Like that's what you're like. It's
Yeah.
literally
Oh, it's-
terrifying, awful.
It's terrifying. It's terrifying from what I read and what I've heard people talk about it, like on podcasts. Like it's terrifying. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine it. It's like just having to be forced to lay there in bed, and, like have like basically a demon or some kind of monster crawling all around your room and like crawling on you.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
and
just being paralyzed for 20 minutes was scary enough. If I had a demon, might have to fix that problem. Especially if it happened all the fucking
well,
time.
but I mean, people that
Like-
have it often and they just learn coping of how to bring yourself out of it, like be aware in the dream and bring yourself out. Like that's how they do it. And did you guys see A Haunting of Hill House or whatever?
Yeah, I
The
saw
one-
that one.
The one girl
My-
had
my
that,
wife
and
watched
that's
it.
you know exactly, yeah. So you have something like a watch or something that anchors you, and you can bring yourself out of it. It's terrible. Like I'm glad I've never had that. It's really bad.
I would
I wouldn't
not
wanna go
want
to
the
sleep.
demon. The
Well, let
demon
me ask you
would
this,
have-
Deborah.
Hmm.
Let me ask you this. You said you lucid dream. Do you travel through dimensions while you lucid dream or no?
Yes.
Because the
Yes.
guest I was trying to get on tonight, though it was way too short notice to get him on, obviously. But the guest I was trying to get on tonight, like he talked about there being, I'm gonna F this up probably, but I feel like he said there were 6 dimensions above us and 6 dimensions below us. And oh no, he said there was
Most of
infinite
them are
dimensions.
9 dimensions.
I've heard so many different numbers from different people I've interviewed. It's ridiculous. But
Okay.
he said there were infinite number of dimensions. It just depends on where you're going, which direction you go in. And he said like he would go. He's been to a lot of them, and he said some of them have creatures that are the nicest creatures to ever meet, and you get nothing but good vibes from them. And then he said some of the other ones have such horrible creatures in them that you just get an instantly evil vibe from them, and like you run away. And he said they've been as small as like microscopic, like fairies, to like giants.
Yeah, these little
So-
elemental things, yeah. And that's exactly, I don't know, like, but so because I'm kind of new to all of this, and so I was never sure if I'm astral projecting or just dreaming, right? Like to me, I've always, this is how I dream. And then I talked to this somebody who was like psychic, and they're like, she told me, she's like, no, you travel all the time. And it makes sense because I've always had dreams where I'm actually flying, like I am flying or whatever. I dream that constantly, but I was just think it's dreams, right? But then I can actually direct it and stuff. I can go where I choose and stuff. So I'm like, well, maybe this, I'd like to do it while I'm awake. That's how I would become more of a believer. I guess that this isn't dream world. This is actual something. Would be cool. But I've had a dream like, and it feels like if you wake up too soon, it's like it feels like you're being pulled back from really far away. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it. Or you slam back really fast. Like it's really weird.
Have you guys ever noticed that it's like a lot of women who do this stuff? Like,
Well, I mean,
There's men that do it for sure.
but I mean, like the majority of women are more like
well,
attuned
they say
to this
that
kind of thing.
women unlock more of their brain than men.
So do you think this is why religion and everything, we were sort of locking them down?
Well, I mean,
Probably,
we
that
You
could
know what
be.
I'm saying?
we
Yeah.
burn them for being witches. So I mean, anything's possible.
But like now we're coming into the new age where everybody's accepting and all. Do you think women are just gonna enslave us all in like 50 years?
Hopefully.
Was it a bad thing? Should we go back to like,
Yeah.
No, I'm not touching that with a 20-foot pole. But I mean,
That's funny.
all I'm saying is the spiritual awakening happened, and most of the people I talk to who are psychics or mediums or intuitives
Yeah.
or can do any of this type of stuff, they're mainly women. And I mean, I'm all for being women's slave, but only in certain situations.
I don't think
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna like it.
I think really it's going to be a softer, a more accepting world, period. The contracts are going to change. This is what I really think. And it's just going to be, but I think there's going to be some, well, obviously some chaos as things change. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the whole vibration. I don't know. Do you guys feel? Now you really sound like a nut, but can you feel vibrations and energy in the air and stuff? Because there's changes.
No, I can't. I've had a couple other like super strange, unexplainable experiences. Like I've heard other people talk about the same thing I'm talking about off of like DMT or whatever, but like when I was a kid, I wasn't trying to get high. I was just trying to make my voice change,
Mhm.
right? And we had like unlimited helium balloons. And then I blacked out in an aisle, and my friends, I guess they were trying to like hide me from all the grown-ups and stuff. And they said I was out for like 5 minutes, but I remember it felt like I had lived an entirely different life for months, like months, like went to bed, woke up, did the whole day for months. It was crazy. My wife said she's done the same thing too. Like did you guys ever play the game when you would pass each other out up against a wall?
No.
Like in
No.
junior high? No? Okay, well, it was big in our junior high. You'd have somebody stand against the wall, and then your friend would like hold your neck until you passed out and then sort of guide you down.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
My wife had the same type of experience I did
Dude,
doing
I
that.
grew up with rainbow parties and sexual bracelets, and that sounds way worse than anything I grew up with.
Oh, dude, well, my next story. Did you used to take a lot of Quercetin when you were a kid?
Never.
No.
Well, they used to call that kind of leads into my next story. They called it poor man's ecstasy. So you'd take an 8-pack of the Quercetin, and it had the DXM in it, dextromethorphan, blah 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 blah. It's in Robitussin, a certain type of thing of Quercetin, Mucinex. So you
Oh, you
take
mean
that.
you mean dexatrippin?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've done that when I was a kid, but yeah.
We used to do that all the time with the Quercetin back in like junior high. But then one day I was sick when I was an adult, and I drank the entire family size, like Costco size bottle of Robitussin. And that that shit, dude, that's another thing where like your brain, I was rewinding. So like I would be here, and then we would just be starting the podcast. And then I would jump ahead to me going to bed, and then it would be yesterday. And then it was nuts. Like I could actually go to the future and then be back in now. I mean, probably a lot to do with the drugs, but it was like
Oh,
trying to explain it. Whew.
dexatripping fucks you up. It does. Like
Yeah,
it
normally
100%
you
does.
just feel
But
like
that's
you're an alien, like on the moon, jumping,
Like you drink
happy
a
as
bottle of
hell.
you drink a bottle of NyQuil and you try to stay awake. Like that shit will fuck you up. But like
I think time is a whole different thing. Like you can't jump time.
Yeah.
Because that time isn't the way we like think about it. You can, yeah,
Well,
mess with timelines and stuff.
they've proven the fourth dimension is like they've gotten all the way up to the 10th dimension, and then you try to think of the fourth dimension, and that's like everything we have except time is a different direction. So everything that's ever happened or ever did has already happened, and that's one scene. And you try to wrap your brain around that. And then like the fifth dimension is like that with every universe. So it's like I couldn't even imagine being in the second dimension, to be honest with you. I mean, that's got to be a trip. Maybe that's where spirits lay.
well,
Well,
that's really. I mean,
you have access to all of this. So I think we should all take a class and do this together and learn to do this together, you guys.
We should maybe that's what we'll do. We'll get somebody on the internet and have them teach us once a week.
Yeah.
And see if we get anywhere.
Have you guys ever seen, because I've done, it was like a Zoom party with psychics doing the bending, like with your bending of spoons with your mind, and that works. That's crazy how and everybody on the thing got it to bend. I mean, it was crazy.
I've never seen anything like that legit.
No, it was live. It was like Zoom. It was a big, a big group of people, and everybody. It was wild.
And you bent it?
Yes, it bends. It bends, and you're not like with your muscles. It bends. It 100% does.
Because I've seen like the magicians rub that like solvent on there, and then it bends.
No, because you're doing it yourself, so you're not cheating. It's you yourself doing it. It's 100%.
No, if that happened, I'd definitely be a lot more
If they do another one, I'll invite you guys to do it. But it's funny because everybody yells because it's about energy or whatever. So you have this whole Zoom of everybody yelling and putting their energy together to do it. But it works. It's wild.
That
And
didn't
some
scare
people
you?
like it like curls right up, but some people, I don't know, it just bends a little bit or whatever, but everybody got it to bend. Or
Like
I think
if they're bending your spoon, what the hell else are they doing? You know what I'm
well,
saying?
that's,
Like, are they
you know,
going through
that's
your
what I like.
passwords and getting your bank account information?
I know,
Jesus,
but why would they need to? You know?
you have a lot more
Dude.
faith than I do.
Legit psychics make enough money. They don't need to fucking.
That's exactly it. So if you were a psychic and you could, you know, just get money whenever you needed to, it's not a thing anymore, right?
Well, you would
Yeah.
think so, right? But what's with Bill Gates and Elon Musk and everybody else?
Well, that's power. So that's not money, that's power. They're trying to control the world, basically. That's a whole different thing.
That was a question.
He's got
I
enough
had.
money. Like, it's not about money for them at all. It's about being the number one, control over the globe.
This is, you sent me that video of the Elon Musk Neuralink
Yes, yeah.
thing. How do you think Neuralink is going to interface with astral projection and remote viewing?
I think that they're coming up with all these like metaverse and all these alternatives so that people don't do this naturally, because then they actually can control what they're feeding you. And you think you're getting an experience where you're seeing everything and whatever, but they actually are controlling it. And I think they're doing that because so many more people are waking up to their actual natural abilities where they can't lie and they can't control it. So I think they're trying to feed people something, amazing, and people will just get sucked in and never actually do the work or try to learn to do the real thing.
It's like Futurama. It's like Futurama where they advertise stuff in your dreams.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But what
I
do
don't
you
know.
think for somebody who could actually astral project? Like, that would be a good science experiment, right? Like, you got one of the best top astral projectors in the world and he gets a Neuralink. Do you think that enhances it? Do you think it screws with it? Do you think it opens up a whole different world?
I think it would screw with it and
Screw with it.
control the person versus him actually doing it for himself.
Yeah.
I don't want any chips in my head. That's all I know. I don't trust anything like that. I don't like, the whole the whole metaverse and like all of that stuff is to simulate, imagine being on your couch and seeing the African jungles or whatever. But it's what you're being fed what they want you to see of that. It's not, it could be altered or whatever, right? Whereas astral projection or remote viewing, you're really seeing it.
I get it.
I can finally find Macaulay Mbembe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You tell me I can do it from my couch?
You're gonna have to be sober though,
Yes,
buddy.
yes.
I've
We're gonna get you into this. We're gonna get you into this, and you can find your cryptids all over.
all the tutorial videos I've watched on this, they want you to be stone cold sober.
Yeah.
I mean, if you catch me in the morning, it's possible, but
Well, just as you're
So-
waking up is a good time to try, to tell you the truth. Just as you're waking up, because you're kind of in that theta brainwave state. When you wake up, and you're not wide awake yet. You're just on that cusp. That's another good time to do it, actually.
I know how Jeremy wakes up. Oh,
no, I either wake up to a 5-year-old begging me for a drink, or I wake up to barking dogs. So
Well, just say project away, and you don't have to be there. Somebody else.
yeah, who's gonna clean the crap out of my dog's cages then? 'Cause I don't want to.
but you can do it astrally, and then you won't have to smell it and puke in the morning.
It doesn't. Trust me, it makes me gag. It doesn't make me puke.
Funny. So have you
Oh.
guys had out of body experiences or anything like that?
I told
Never.
him I too,
Yeah.
but that was
Ne-
pretty much it.
Never.
Feel free.
I've gotten so stoned that I got sober, and nothing happened. Like I just basically got sober again. It got to the point where I could smoke all night. And I still was sober.
I
What
have
about
never
visions?
done
Have you
that.
ever had a vision like and then see it like it comes through or
I've had premonitions, but they're always stupid shit. They're never like anything serious. Like a lot of numbers are like that never happens, but it's always just like random conversations I'll have like 5 weeks down the road.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But then, so that's the thing. And then if you just start noticing that more and more and more,
Oh, when I was a kid, it happened all the time. Like in
Yeah.
high school, middle school, all the time. Like just random conversations in the classroom or with a teacher, and then like a month later, it would happen. I'd be like, deja vu.
So it was a
Yeah.
deja vu thing. That's what I was gonna ask.
but so
Like, you remembered
deja
it?
vu is your intuition, you guys. That is your psychic abilities.
But
That's
it
I
was
go
never
through
things that mattered.
spurts of deja vu.
It was
Yeah.
stupid conversations about TV shows and stuff like that. It was never anything serious.
I always
know, but
think
they
I'm gonna
they don't
die.
start you off with like, the doors to the Vatican opening or anything. It's
I
like
mean,
it's just little things and then you strengthen it.
I did that for years and nothing ever happened, and it never got stronger. It was just stupid conversations or just me getting in trouble. I would see me getting in trouble, and then like a month later, I get in trouble for doing that. And I wouldn't remember it till I got in trouble. I was like, oh yeah.
I always thought deja vu was like a sign of me about to die. It's
No,
like my
What?
life flashing behind my eyes or
that
before
that's
my
found
eyes.
that's Final Destination.
Yeah, no, they made what fucking 6 movies out of that thing. I don't like deja
Hey,
vu.
to this day, I still won't drive behind trucks carrying logs.
Well, that's scary anyways, for good reasons. There's lots of accidents with those, but that's just common sense.
Yeah, I don't. Well,
So-
like when I get super high, I'll start remembering a bunch of shit from like my past, and that freaks me out too. I've never smoked myself sober. I get to a point where I'm like, blah.
4/20/2007.
Smoked
I
yourself sober, huh?
over a period of about 12-15 hours, I smoked myself sober. I drove to my friend's apartment where he works security at like a local airfield. And we drove my car going like 100. We drove my Subaru Forester like wagon style, going like 150 miles on the freaking runway.
Yeah, no, dude,
Jeez.
I start hallucinating when I get that crazy.
Yeah.
No, I never hallucinate. I don't know. I think my mind's too.
What about edibles?
I mean, I've taken edibles to the point where like I fall asleep or I get like just I can't like move, but nothing ever happens. Like I either can't move or I just fall asleep.
Oh, dude, I'll trip though. Trip out.
No,
Trip out on like
I mean,
high dose edibles.
I never tried mushrooms I did acid once, but I never tried mushrooms. And I mean, with acid, all I did was black out in the middle of a concert and then come to. No
So-
idea why I did. No idea why I did the concert while I was blacked out, but I was still standing and I blacked out twice in the same concert. And I blacked out when artists started performing, and then I blacked out when they were ending their performance.
So you
Shoot,
missed the whole
I-
concert.
I've
No,
blacked out
I-
on a couple of our podcasts.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
that was the only time I did a fucking like hallucinogenic shit. And I mean, I would try mushrooms if I had like a safe place to do it without my kids around. But
I'm such a baby, you guys. I've never tried any
Oh,
of this stuff.
you were the only one who can get them legally. Like man, I wish the last time I did it, we bought a quarter pound between 3 of us and we just started eating. And then the guy who sold them to us came up to us and he was like, "You ate how much? You're gonna be dead, dude." And then that was it, man. My wife, I puked like The Exorcist, and my wife was
Gross.
freaking out. And I had a fucking colorful bungee cord that represented the poison that was taking over my body, and I was dying. My wife was freaking out the same way. But the other dude, he ate the rest of the fucking quarter pound, drank an 18 pack, and said he didn't feel anything. He watched The Simpsons and it looked cool for a little bit.
Oh, that's hilarious. So
I mean, I always wanted to do mushrooms and it's like run through the woods, but
Don't take a heroic dose. Do not take a heroic dose. It is
obviously not.
fun.
I mean, I had friends in college who took a shitload in the woods and like they were chasing like a talking rabbit and shit, and like a talking deer running through the woods.
See, I've never on any hallucinogenics like seen like they make it in the cartoons where you see shit and all this. Like the walls are breathing like crazy, and then like in your brain you can see stuff, and like I don't know, like when you're looking at something, you might see that cartoon figure that's there, but it's not there in real life. But yeah, no, I'm not more of a downer guy myself. I'm not a
I've never
Yeah,
tried
person.
any of this stuff, but what is that called? Ayahuasca or whatever that people are spiritual people are really into.
That
taking?
one's for like getting sober though. That's like you're gonna be puking a lot. And DMT, if you smoked the toad venom, and there's like an African leaf too, that's like a 15-minute trip, like a salvia trip. And then that's supposed to be the most hallucinogenic. I have a lot of friends who have tried it. I've never done it myself.
And
Salvia
so do
didn't
you
work
think
on
that
me.
that's opening up to the consciousness, or is that just like hallucinating within your own, imagination or whatever?
Everyone I've talked to said it's different than anything you can imagine. I've never
I
done
mean,
it though, so I don't.
I mean, they also say all this shit kills your brain cells.
Well, DMT is naturally in your brain, so you're just releasing it. This doesn't actually hurt your brain at all. I do think though, like if you have any schizophrenia running in your family, like you might want to be worried about I don't know. I mean, I've
I'll
tripped
stick
and
with
stuff
meditation.
for a while.
I can't meditate. I I can't meditate. I talk to
Everyone
people on
can
my podcast.
meditate.
I can't. I talk to people on my podcast about this. I can't sit there and do nothing for that long. It just drives me insane.
Well, you gotta
No,
get
but
past the
when you
insanity.
first start, because your brain is like monkey brain, right? Like it's going and going, and you let those thoughts kind of you don't push them away, and you don't try to be nothing. You just let it come and flow through you until eventually it does quiet down. Because at the beginning I was the same, and I was like, I can't be hypnotized, I can't meditate. And you can, everybody can, but you just let it go, let it race for a bit, and let it just go through you and release it.
Yeah, I have kids and dogs. I don't ever get a moment of peace. So
Well, that's a problem. Yeah,
that might stop.
that might be a problem.
I love having to run to the supermarket to get the most random shit just so I can have a moment to myself. But
You can always take a walk out in the woods.
I'm good. I've heard enough stories about dogmen recently that I don't want to go in the woods.
Is that really why you don't want to go in the woods?
I hate the woods, man. I've always hated the woods. There's just so much better shit I can do with my time. I could be watching a movie. I could be watching a TV show instead of walking in the woods. Like
I love
my
being in nature.
Yeah.
my wife and kids love it. I can't fucking stand it. Like going for hikes is my hell.
Well, there is your problem solved. Send your wife and kids out to go be in nature, and you can try to meditate.
Yeah, my wife don't drive, so they ain't going nowhere without me, and that's the problem.
Mm.
And now we got dogs,
Well.
so we can't go anywhere without the dogs either, because otherwise, I mean, we do, but then they're locked in their cages for like 8-10 hours and they poop everywhere.
Let them run around the neighborhood for a while.
No, my dog's so dumb it would chase a car and get killed. Seriously, my dog got loose twice today outside, almost killed a fucking rooster.
Jeez.
You mean tried to bring dinner home for you?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jiminy
me and
cricket,
my-
somebody's ungrateful.
me and the wife were talking. It's our rooster. We don't want it killed. It's the one rooster we have anymore. But me and the wife were talking tonight. We're like, she'd be a good hunting dog, probably. She's like, yeah, you should take her in the woods and see what she brings back to you.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe you
I'm a
get your dog, man. It's a big dog, dude. It's a big dog.
No, she's only 8 weeks. 8 months. She's only
Don't
8
you have
months.
another one that's big?
Yeah, that's the 8-month one.
Oh, I thought you had a full, like an old
No,
dog too.
that's it. The big one, and if you're talking about the video on Facebook I posted, that's the 8-month-old. That's big. Wait till she's fucking a year and a half old, 2 years old, then she'll be full grown.
God.
Then you'll find your dog, man.
Yeah, right. I already can hug my dog like a human at 8 months. I don't want to see what it's like a fucking year and a half.
Well,
no, I don't, trust me. Listen to the episode I have coming out soon with D.A. Roberts of the North American Dogmen. Whatever the fuck the last letter means. Like that, like the stories he tells will leave you with chills.
With
He's
the
been to the
Dogman
land.
dude?
Yeah, D.A. Roberts. He's one of the district managers of the North American Dogman Patrol, whatever the fuck they're called. Project. North American Dogman Project. He's one of like the region managers. Like he's been to the land between the lakes, and he had the stories he told my podcast were like, oh, bone chilling.
oh, that'd be cool to talk to him. Yeah.
Like
You-
that
That's
island we looked at, the island we looked at in the picture that you said would be cool to like go fishing hunting there.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that one.
Half of it, he said, you see roadkill, you see animals running around. He said the second half of it, you don't see nothing. There's no animals running around. There's no roadkill. It's just eerie.
I'd still
And
like
he
to go
had-
fishing there.
Well, we don't come back. We know why. But how long have we been running on this episode, Scott? Just out of curiosity.
We're at 56 minutes. We got to come up with a new episode for next week. And what do you guys think about us creating our own ferret man? Like we got Dog Man, Frog Man, Moth Man. Like the three of us, different locations, all different types of people. We each say we walked out into the woods and saw Ferret Man.
And see if we
Just
could get
saying.
people going.
We could be the leaders of the Ferret Men.
No, God, fair man. What? So they're gonna. So what? They're gonna stink and hide all your stuff from you?
Yeah, well, you come up with the animal, just animal man at the end, or woman. There, we even got a better hook, line, and sinker right there, huh?
We're with the times.
Yeah.
Porcupine woman. Oh my God.
Porcupine woman. She,
Porcupine trans woman. Perfect.
You guys.
Perfect.
Oh my.
that ain't right.
What do you guys want to do next week?
Well, whose choice is it? Mine or yours, Scott?
I have no idea, dude. It's Halloween.
Well, okay, Halloween's over, and I didn't get as much candy as I wanted, so I'm kind of pissed. But I also had to deal with a freaking 8-month-old mastiff that tried to sniff every costume person that went by. So she got in a lot of people's crotches, but as she does. But you know, we're getting close to Krampus season.
No,
So-
not yet. That's can't
Not
come
yet.
up
Not
yet.
no, not yet. But his good old cousin
Belsnickel?
Goatman can. Goatman can.
Okay. We got to do the Yule lads and Krampus, Frauperta,
Oh, we got-
Belsnickel. Like
w-
Christmas,
what
we're
we-
gonna have to do like 6 episodes a week. Telling you.
Yeah, right. We can cover it all in one episode. We can cover all of it in a couple episodes. Trust me. But there ain't that much on a lot of these things. But
Goat
We're
man.
doing
I say
Goatman?
Goatman.
Sounds good to me.
You know, I actually with all those interviews I was doing, the bridge episode, I got like 2 goat mans when I was doing the interviews, and then I think it was Dog Man. They said no, but I've heard of Goat Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
I've
There's a
never
lot of
really
goat-
heard of Goat Man, but
There's a lot of Goatman stories out there, especially down in the Virginia, West Virginia area.
Is
He's-
it a lot in Canada? Is there a lot up here?
I never heard of any Canadian Goatmen, but that doesn't mean they don't exist.
let's
Oh.
Google it real quick. Because I mean,
I
he
mean-
sounds more promising. Fucking Frogman was only in one city.
Loveland, yeah. But
Goat.
I mean, Goatmen are
Mm.
all over the place, and they go back to mythology. So
Well, that's kind of Krampus-esque.
yes, yeah. But I mean, Canada, I don't know. Canada has a Sam Squatch. I don't know if they have Goatmen.
Well, we've got Creepy Canada, Goatman / Banshee of Maretown, Listow Ripper TV episode. Yeah, I don't know. There's Goatman
Well, there you go-
on
there you go.
Etsy Canada. You can
There you
buy
go,
a-
Deborah.
There we
Etsy
go.
figurine.
The Canadian goat man is covered. I probably dated him.
Well, I mean, he'll eat anything, so.
Yeah. And we're done.
Okay, I'll stop recording.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had a few gin talks tonight, so you know.
I still think Deborah has easy access to mushrooms. We could send her some money. She could send us some stuff, and we could all
Yeah,
have a great episode for Deborah's
Oh.
first
You
time
guys,
talking to the afterlife.
I don't even smoke cigarettes. You're picking the most innocent person I wouldn't even begin to know where to shop. So,
Oh, trust me. Wait till I get my freaking office up in my garage.
Yeah,
I'll be
I could
smoking cigarettes
Google
through this
it.
whole podcast.
And thank you guys
Bye.
for watching.
Happy
Stop
Sunday.
live streaming.
Glad we can entertain you while I'm half drunk, but yeah.
Stop.
Goddamn